Hello, it's Matt here from Matt's RC Models, and today I'm going to be giving you some tips and tricks for the Tamiya CC01. So, the Tamiya CC01, in my opinion, is one of the best chassis that Tamiya ever made for off-roading, especially rock crawling. Now, obviously it has its advantages and disadvantages, just like any other RC model. But today I'm going to be going through with you some of the improvements / modifications I made to my particular CC01 that any of you could do at home with simple tools. So, the first thing I'll be talking about are the wheels. Now, the original Tamiya CC01 wheels are as so. Obviously they were silver in the centre, this is a black, but they are relatively the same thing. And they're very, very firm type of tyre. They give grip, but not as much rubbery, it's more plasticky than it is rubber. So, I went on eBay, and so for about $15.99 at the time, there were these KRTs. They're like steel hammer type wheels, they're plastic, but they are, in my opinion, much, much better and much, much grippier than the original CC01 wheels and tyres. And of course these just slip straight on, which is absolutely brilliant because it just means I take off the old ones and put on the new ones. Obviously you can add different colour nuts for styling, that's just your own personal taste. So, a couple more things. The CC01's tin can motors have a thing for overheating, and especially in the CC01 chassis because the amount of torque that goes through the motor, and when they do overheat, the vehicle stops. So, a very good thing to buy, if your kit didn't come with one already, or if you don't have one lying around, is a heatsink. Just like this, they're about £3 on eBay, and they are absolutely brilliant. It'll keep your motor cool, it just clips on, and yeah, they are absolutely brilliant. So, another thing, I'm going to go to the electrics a bit more now. The original ESC that comes with the vehicle, some of them don't, but some of them do. But the Tamiya ESCs, this one's a bit beaten up. The standard ones look like this, the brushed ones. And they're okay. I mean, they're a bit bog standard. But I upgraded mine to make it waterproof. Now, you can waterproof these using balloons, but my personal opinion, I decided to use a Snow Panther brushed ESC, as can be seen right here. And I've used this ESC in a couple of my videos already as demonstration. Now it's absolutely brilliant, it's got a drag brake on it, it's everything I'd ever need. And in my opinion, it's perfect. But there's a few other things as well you can do with your Tamiya CC01 to make it slightly better for when you go on the trails. Now, what's the point in waterproofing your ESC when you're not waterproofing any of the other electrics? And really, the only other main component is the receiver. Now, brushed motors can go through water already, but standard receivers that come with, say, the FlySky transmitters, or the Spectrum transmitters, a lot of them do not come fully waterproofed. So, there are a couple of options for this. Some Tamiya kits come with the Tamiya box, which can be seen just here. It's literally just a box and you can put some sealant around it and 4 screws, and your receiver sits in there and the cables come out the other end. Or you can buy a Traxxas one. Slightly different, same aspect, got a built-in seal on it. You can use any of these and you can find them online for about £5 to £10, sometimes even 15 depending on the best ones you get. Right, and now onto the battery. So, where the battery used to sit, which was right here, it's okay, it's brilliant for NIMH batteries, but I like to run LiPo, because in my opinion LiPo is better, but it depends on other people's opinions. And so, unfortunately, because it's a rounded battery slot, a standard LiPo battery would not fit in this slot. And also, if you go mudding and the water's yay high, then it's going to damage it. Then you've got a chance of damaging the battery. So, what I did, or not me, the previous person who owned this vehicle did, they cut a piece of plastic that was the right size for here, and epoxy resined it in. Now that makes the whole tub completely watertight, so that any water that does get in will obviously puddle in there, which isn't so good, but has a less chance of getting in there in general. Therefore, the battery tray was relocated to just over here on top. Now this has advantages and disadvantages in itself. Some things such as, into the way of disadvantages, like it actually higher the centre of gravity. Now this isn't brilliant because it means your vehicle's not so stable when you're going over rocks or up steep gradients. But, as you can see, it holds a LiPo battery as well, because LiPo batteries tend to be quite square. And although you can get round ones, and it's high up away from any damage it may receive from any water or bogging you may do. Now these are only a couple of tips and tricks, but I've got one more to show you before I sign off this video. So this one are these. Now you might have been thinking as you're watching these videos, why has he got a pair of unsprung shocks just sticking out the back of the car? Now these give you extra rear suspension movement, so you can use them. So you can have your normal rear suspension, which can sit just round here, and it just you get reasonable amount of movement. But with these, you can move the whole car, and you get a much bigger axle flex, as you can see. You get basically a whole shock's worth more of axle flex. Now you can use any shock absorber whatsoever. I mean, it doesn't really matter. But obviously, I use Tamiya CC01 and just generic Tamiya shocks, and they all work fine anyway. And it is literally just secured on by a bolt and just a bolt, and that's about it, and a washer on the other side and a nut. There's one more thing I must say before I sign off, and that is when you're in the building process of one of these, if you are in the building process, or if not, you can always go back, is lock the front and rear differentials. This will give you much better handling off-road. Not so good if you're if you're planning on high speed rallying. But if you're turning your vehicle into a crawler, then lock the diffs, because it means that the wheels won't spin and the wheels won't slip, and all of them will spin at exactly the same rate. Now that's all from me here at Matt's RC. Please remember to comment and subscribe, and thank you for watching.